All right, we are off and running here on the final Hot Stove Show of 2024. Steven Strom alongside the radio voice of the Miami Marlins, Kyle Seeloff. And Kyle, we've got a really fun show. We had a nice holiday party this week. How you doing,
Mhm.
buddy? How's everything?
I'm hanging in there. I wouldn't call this my Jordan flu game. Got a little head cold right now. Refusing to take Dayquil. Just you don't have to call me a hero, but if some folks out there would like to, that's their prerogative. But I'm hanging in there, man. I'm fine.
I said yesterday during our show prep, I said I wanted to mention. You said, I don't want to mention. You are battling something, and
Yeah.
you showed up to the Christmas party like a warrior, and you
Yeah.
showed up today. I had
That's
no
right.
doubt. You said you
That's
actually
right.
threw out the possibility of me hosting this thing solo.
That's right.
So I had
Again.
takes. I was ready to go, and then this morning you said I'm a probable, and here
Yeah.
you are, and
hmm
I'm glad you're here. I will tell you
Day to
that.
day, no IL stint. And again, if you want to say the H word hero, that's up to you, Steven. But I'm not going to use that. Okay.
Well, we've got I'm glad you're here because we have a really fun show. We've got a couple of things I do want to hit on and tease. First, we have PJ Morlando, the Marlins number 16 overall pick. The Marlins came out with a nice short video. Some of the guys went to the Dominican to check out the academy and experience some really important cultural stuff. We have that to show in a little bit. But the main guest, the star of the show, I mean, this is who you're coming for.
Yeah.
Carson Vitale, the new Marlins bench coach, was hired and is going to work alongside Clayton McCullough. Super excited to hear from him, Kyle. We've heard some great things from Seattle, and I'm going to mention it to him during our interview. But when I looked up some articles on him, he said his two role models were Gabe Kapler and Clayton McCullough, and that article was published in 2019. That's 5 years ago. It's crazy how some full circle moments come ahead for someone like Carson.
Yes, and another guy on this coaching staff, so young, 36 years old, man. Are you kidding
Crazy.
me? The youth movement continues. I think it is really cool. We've chatted about this as well. All of the people, and a lot of them, Stephen, you and I really have not had an opportunity to meet, but all of the people that they continue to hire, so young, fresh, new ideas. I think it's all going to you know ultimately land in the lap of, hey, it's new ideas. It's really cool. I'm really excited to chat with Carson. I know we're going to do that in just a couple of minutes, but it's awesome. I'm so excited for what the future holds. We've talked about it ad nauseum every week, but just
Yep.
super pumped, man, for 2025.
And this isn't to devalue some of the other individuals we had on this show because
hmm
every position is important, Kyle. But the bench coach in particular, man, this is a sounding board for the manager. This is a guy
Sure.
that's going to set up everything during spring training. He's going to see whatever he sees from the dugout and relay that. I mean, this is, you could argue that the bench coach is almost more important than the manager at times.
Yeah, within reason, right? I mean, the manager leans heavily on his bench coach, and that's a very, very important and vital role. And it's one where you're constantly forced to look ahead at all times, right? Whether it's the first inning, the second inning, the third inning, you're looking ahead towards the sixth, seventh, or eighth. I remember Skip Schumacher saying so often, Pipe was there, and Rod Barajas too, who never got enough
Yep.
credit, but
Yep.
they were always covering my blind spots. He always used that term, covering my blind spots. Obviously, every single role is important. To your point, bench coach, maybe the most important role on the staff as well.
Well, let's bring him on, but before we do so, Kyle, I do want to promote something we've been talking about a lot, and that is Monster Jam, which is coming to Lone Depot Park on January 25th and 26th. We've heard it's an awesome event. We were there last year, of course. Awesome trucks, amazing stunts. They've got the most popular trucks like the Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Sparkle Smash, Marlins.com/Monster Jam. I would not want to miss it. And Kyle, I don't know what your plan is this year. Potentially, we can go back, but I encourage everyone to check it out. It's definitely something different, but it is really, really darn cool.
I'm not going to miss Sparkle Smash, brother. Sparkle Smash is on my radar. Oh, goodness.
Again, marlins.com/Monster Jam. Make sure to check it out January 25th and the 26th as we are ready to go here with our man of the hour. It is Carson Vitale, the new Marlins bench coach who has spent the past 7 seasons with Seattle, including 5 as their major league field coordinator. He was also Seattle's minor league field coordinator before joining the big league staff in 2020. Prior to that, he was with the Dodgers international field coordinator for 2 seasons, and I think that's where he crossed paths with Clayton McCullough and company. Carson, thank you very much for joining us. Steven Strom, Kyle Seeloff with you. Let me first start you off with this. You a fan of New Year's resolutions as we approach 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I've made a couple. I have.
And what are they?
Well, I haven't made one in quite some time, but I used to be. I used to run a lot. I guess I have a slightly addictive personality, and I got into running during COVID, and made a New Year's resolution to run 10 miles a day every day for 365 days. Didn't quite hit the mark. I came up short. Probably should have taken some rest and recovery days in between to kind of
10 miles.
Yeah. And there was a stretch where I ran, I think like 26 half marathons in a row, and one day where I ran 50 miles in a day.
Holy buckets.
Yeah, but I mean, my body broke down. I couldn't handle it, and in hindsight, I could have done it a lot smarter.
Well, that sounds awful, but also it must be really good for the physical and mental. But Carson, welcome first of all to Miami, and I guess we'll start with the obvious. Sometimes sounds like a lazy question, but why was this the right fit and the right time for you to make this move in your career?
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons. Number one being the people. Getting a chance to work with Gabe and Clayton again, 2 people that have been really important figures in my life for various reasons. But getting a chance to talk with Peter and talk with the group and understand where the Marlins are currently at and what they're trying to do, it was something that was really exciting to me. And just the chance to build something with people that I really believe in was something that I just couldn't pass up.
Carson, how hard was it to leave Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, really tough. I mean, the guys I worked with over there, they're much more than just teammates. They're brothers, guys I've spent more time with than my family, So very bittersweet, but they were all very encouraging in the process, and generally wanted what's best for me, and that's why I know why they're my brothers, and had deep relationships with them, because when the decision did come to pass, they were very supportive, and it just showed exactly who they were. And there's great people everywhere, but when you spend 7 years in one place, and 5 years on one staff with guys you came through the system with, it means a little more.
Steven, I'm going to do this out of the gate so you guys can mend your relationship while we chat. Carson, I saw your Instagram, just a ginormous Packers fan. Steven has family and ties to Minnesota. This is the NFC North. So if you want to get that out of the way now and hash this out, we can continue here momentarily, Steven.
Oh, man.
You can go first, Steven, if you want. I have a rich history of winning. So.
Oh, gosh.
Disappointed, obviously. We had a good when we first jumped onto this call, we both took a timeout for a bathroom break, so I thought we were on the path to being brothers. But as soon as I heard that cheesehead fandom, I got to look the other way. But I will tell you, as much as 12-2 feels good, I am petrified the final 3 because Green Bay still has a chance of that number 1 seed, and that is what's concerning me.
They're playing good football at the right time. I'm not sure. I'm very emotionally invested into the Packers. My wife Lucy can attest to that. Sundays are very much my happiness is very much relied on how the Packers play. So my dad grew up in Wisconsin, huge Packer fan, just that kind of thing. I've been going to Green Bay, going to Lambeau every year as a tradition. Didn't get there this year, but we got to a game in Chicago. So
is it worth it? Is Lambeau worth it?
Yeah, I mean, like if you love history and tradition, like it's up there with Fenway and like old Yankee Stadium, Dodger Stadium. It's like you walk into the place, there's history, like people that have played there, and then just like the other aspect of it, just being in a neighborhood and just like the camaraderie and the fan base, like it's a unique place, So if you like unique things and unique sporting events, it's definitely worth it.
So you had mentioned that your father was from Wisconsin.
Yep.
You're from Canada, dude.
How
did this guy, where hockey is king, get into baseball?
Yeah, I mean, my dad actually my dad played baseball. He actually spent a year at Miami-Dade Junior College right out of high school. So it was one of those things where, he was a big baseball fan. He played professional fast pitch. I was the bat boy. Most of my summers were, touring the United States, going to various fast pitch tournaments. So it's just one of those things where, you kind of follow what your dad does. And he was a football and baseball guy. I became a football and baseball guy. I respect hockey, the culture, the players, they're animals. But just something that I never really gravitated towards, and baseball has just been my true love for as long as I can remember.
And you grew up in one of the most beautiful places in the world, in British Columbia, Canada. Stephen, I have something to share with you, and Carson, you'll enjoy this. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. My great uncle, his name is Elijah Pope Tinsley, is in the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame. He played on their offensive line in the late 30s and early 40s. And my grandmother currently has his Super Bowl ring. Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's very cool, right?
Never met him. To see that ring one day. If you
we have it. It's back home. I'm from New York, but there you go. Cool little story. Carson, I want to ask you about your family, man, because when I was doing a little research on you, having never met you and had an opportunity to chat with you, saw this incredible story from The Athletic a couple of years ago, and you have a beautiful family, your wife Lucy and your son Charlie, who was born, I believe it was 12 weeks premature, spent over 90 days in the NICU unit. And feel free to share as much as that story as you'd like, but I want to know how much perspective that brought into your life that is gruesome and as cruel as the game of baseball can be, and you're striving to obtain the unattainable every day. How much clarity did that give you that my family is everything to me?
Yeah, I mean, you look to moments in your life that kind of shape your perspective and your worldview. That's definitely one of them. My wife is an absolute soldier, and Charlie, my son, is a warrior as well. Came into the world in a difficult way, but the strength that that has given us and our family is a really unique thing. I'll say this: NICU nurses and doctors are the best things in the world. They are the strongest people I've ever met, and we're still really close friends with some of Charlie's nurses to this day. For as dark of a moment that was in my life, it was also the best moment in my life as well. So, can't wait for Charlie to run around Lone Depot Park and get to experience Miami. But it was something I wish upon nobody. But in hindsight, it was probably one of the most, the most singular, impactful moment of my life.
Okay, how's he doing? Righty or lefty? How's Dad doing? Does he look like a ball player, Carson?
He's still getting the hang of catching a ball. He can't do that yet. He's definitely a righty. He loves baseball. Every time he drives by a baseball stadium, he can say baseball and points to the stadium. So, baseball is all he knows. He's taken, I think he's been to half the ballparks in the big leagues already at the age of 3. So he's set up for success in terms of having baseball in his life. We'll see if he likes it, but I'm guessing he's going to.
So, Carson, I was talking with Kyle before you jumped on here about the roles and responsibilities for a bench coach, which I named a couple. I know there are a lot more, but I'd love for you to tell the audience, just even right now, it's December 18th, we're recording this. What are your responsibilities specifically coming up with spring training in, a matter of 2 months? It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's probably why I'm down here in Jupiter right now. Me and Clayton McCullough and Aaron Leinhard and Hector Crespo and Tyler Smarslock are all down here right now talking about spring training, getting ideas on the whiteboard. And I think the goal here for all of us is just to ask questions. Why are we doing things? Historically, why have we done things? Is there better ways to do it? And I think you hear the term progressive and innovative a lot. I think that simply means we're going to question why we're doing things to ensure that we're doing it smartly and, for the benefit of our players, both in the short term and long term. And I think the role of a bench coach is probably viewed differently across the industry. The way I view it is that I'm here to support every single staff member and every single player on a daily basis, and to make Clayton's job easier. And you can talk very granularly about those responsibilities, or very broadly. So yeah, it's a big job, but it's one that I think is the ultimate support layer for everybody in a Marlins uniform.
I always imagined, first-year manager, first-year bench coach, how that sort of dynamic goes. But Clayton McCullough, right? So it's got to be a little bit easier having that familiarity with someone like him.
Yeah, no doubt. And some things we did in Seattle. I was lucky enough to take on some of the responsibilities of a traditional bench coach. So I have a pretty good feel of what the in-game responsibilities are.
What were those? Yeah, I would love for you to share those.
Yeah. So in Seattle, we didn't have a traditional bench coach in place. So I took on of the offensive responsibilities. So defensive platooning, defensive replacements, managing the bench, replay, providing foresight and ideas on how we would match up against the opposition. So the pitching coach and the manager would handle the bullpen, and I would handle the bench and the offensive substitutions from that point of view. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp going into this. I heard you guys talk about blind spots. That's a big part of it. It's my job is to manage all of the available information to allow Clayton to make the best decision possible in the moment. Our job is to put our players in the best position possible to succeed and win the game. And Clayton's job is to make that decision. My job is to gather all information to provide him with the necessary context to make a decision in real time as fast as possible.
Carson, the one thing I was going to ask you, and a lot of people know that in the game of baseball, former catchers make the best managers. You were a Creighton Blue Jay, a proud Creighton Blue Jay, I would imagine, and you were a catcher during your time in college. And you grew up loving the game, obviously, through your father. At what point in your life did you pivot and you hit the fork in the road where I'm going to stop pursuing playing this, but I want to be a servant to the game, and I want to coach, I want to manage, I want to see the game from the top step of the dugout?
Yeah. So right when I got done playing, I had a very short career with the Rangers. I got hurt my second year and couldn't play anymore. So I quickly transitioned to wanting to coach. I was a volunteer at Creighton for about 2 days before the Angels called and asked me if I was interested in coaching at one of the rookie ball teams. I jumped at that opportunity, and ever since then, that was 14 years ago. I've been very focused on just doing the best job I could in that day and supporting the people around me. And bit by bit and year by year, and new teams going from the Angels to the Dodgers to the Mariners, and now here in Miami, you realize that there's smart people and there's great people everywhere. And if you can just, be a servant to those people and soak up as much information as possible and be present on that day and help the people around you, good things tend to happen. And, over the course of those 14 years, I've really grown to love success through others. And, when our players succeed, when our staff succeed, when other teams call on our staff members to go take promotions, that is where I, get a lot of gratitude from. And, seeing our players succeed, there's nothing better than that. That's how I view the game. As much as it is about winning, it's about seeing others succeed. And from this seat, I got to have a big impact on that.
I just have to share with you a fun anecdote I found when I found your roster page on the Creighton baseball website. And throughout the course of your time there, it lists accolades for every year. One bullet point mentioned that Carson successfully executed a hit and run on February something of 2000. It was such an obscure little note that you did something correct in a game. I must ask, do you remember this successful hit and run that they found was so important to put down, Carson?
It was probably like the first successful time I did it. And the communications guy at the time was like probably shocked I did it. So he just threw it in there as a joke, but no,
okay.
I don't, unfortunately.
It felt monumental when I saw it. So I figured I needed to ask.
It was monumental to somebody, apparently.
Yes, so Stephen.
I'm curious because you've had so much experience. And again, Kyle had mentioned you're so young, which is awesome. What would you say, looking back at some of your experiences, was the biggest eye-opening sliding door, biggest challenge, or I guess just biggest influence? Was it managing in the DR? Was it in Seattle? What were some of the experiences that you feel really made you grow exponentially?
Yeah, it's a really good question. There's a collection of people that have been instrumental in kind of shaping my perspective. And then there's also a singular experience, which that was managing in the Dominican Republic. Going down there as a kid from Canada, a JUCO kid from Texas, Division I ball player from Omaha, like none of that screams Latin American experience, So getting the opportunity to go down there at a time when American coaches really weren't prevalent down there. I was one of probably 2 or 3 American coaches during that time throughout the whole league. And I went down there with no Spanish speaking ability, no real English speakers on my staff, and so I quickly adapted to that environment. But more so than adapting to the environment, I was shaped by it. And my love for that country, for Latin America, it runs pretty deep. More so than anything, it taught me how to be grateful and be present, and just it's a very humbling experience to go down there and live down there. I lived down there for 2 years straight, basically coming home only for Christmas. And I definitely wouldn't be sitting in the seat today if it wasn't for that experience and how that shaped who I am down to the core.
Why was it so humbling?
Yeah, thank you.
I think just I come from a middle class family, but you never wanted for anything. And going down there and seeing so many people that are generally happy every day and grateful for just waking up that day and having family by their side, it puts a spin on what materialism is, and those things just aren't that important.
Doesn't matter, right?
They're just not that important. The people in your life are what really matters. How you treat people is what really matters. How you make people feel really matters. When anybody comes into contact with me, whether it's a player, whether it's a family member, it's a teammate, whether it's you guys, whether it's anybody, I want them to feel safe and feel good about themselves. And the people in the Dominican Republic do that in spades.
Carson, actually, once we're done chatting with you today, we're going to show a video of PJ Morlando, who is very thought of highly in the organization, drafted in the first round last year. They sent a bunch of the American kids down to the Dominican Republic.
How funny is that, Kyle? How about that timing?
Yeah, and I'm sure you're aware of all that, obviously, but it's obviously something that's very important. Let me ask you something about your Dominican experience. And I'll preface this by saying I think every person that gets to the major leagues or plays professional baseball works very hard. How quick did it take you to realize that it's those kids' way of life? It's not life or death, and it's not exactly a ticket to freedom, unless I suppose you're in Cuba when it's very serious in that nature. But how quickly did you realize this is their meal ticket if it happens?
Yeah, it's just you don't know until you're down there and see the scope of it. You see Latino American players at the complex and when you're in rookie ball and throughout the minor leagues, but going down there and seeing the complexes, seeing the island, seeing how people live, you just don't have the right appreciation for it until you're actually down there and see it firsthand. And I was very close with Julio Rodriguez with Seattle, and seeing him as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, just enjoying playing the game, and that joy resonates throughout his how he lives, and a symbol for a lot of Dominican kids who just love playing the game. And as much as it is a meal ticket to success and some fortune, at their core they love baseball. And so it's just a very pure thing. I can't say enough about it.
¿Tú hablas español?
Sí.
There you go. He speaks it, Kyle.
Yeah, well, I got that. Again, I try my best. That might be the end. That's probably where I draw the line, but I totally understand. I would like to ask you too, though, Carson, from your experiences down there, how impactful do you think this experience has been for some of these Marlins draft picks and prospects to just go spend some time down there this winter?
Yeah, without talking to them about it, personally, if they went down with the correct perspective and an open mind, I'm sure they were shaped just as much as I was. It's an incredible experience. And the organizations that send American kids down to, gain that perspective and that experience always, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time come back with, a profound amount of gratitude. And that, I think that just that alone is well worth it.
Tengo una pregunta, Carson. We had mentioned, and I want to actually get into this now, Clayton and Gabe, you listed those guys as one of your biggest influences out of your 5 in an article in 2019. Why? because they're so different.
Yeah, but at their core, they're the same. You know, they want what's best for people, and they challenge people. And they're one of the first two people in my life that I really felt like they were challenging me for the right reasons, out of no self-interest, and simply just to make me better. And that stuck with me in a deep way. And they both did it in their own way. You know, they both did it in a way that is unique to them, but they both did the same thing, which is challenge me to be better. And ultimately, I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for those instances. And, you know, I'm in a deep debt of gratitude to both of them for it. And hopefully I can provide the same level of challenge. And that's why we're all here as Marlins, is to challenge each other, provide feedback, and ultimately help us grow so we can help our players grow. Right. I think it's fairly ironic when we're asking our players to do challenging things to grow, yet, you know, we don't do it ourselves. And so that's something that we will absolutely model for the entire group. You know, feedback being one of them. But we are here to get better, and that's not just unique to our players. We need to get better as well.
Carson, my next question for you would be: I would imagine that maybe some within the industry, the pundits, the hard-hitting journalists like Stephen and myself, might find that this coaching staff is met with some skepticism, relatively unproven in nature, right? A lot of you guys are doing something you haven't done before. Do you think about that? Does it make you hungry to prove people wrong? I mean, it's in everybody's nature to want to like stick it to somebody if they don't believe in them.
I mean, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? But I think experience is also relative. You know, not all experience is great experience. I think the staff that we have compiled here in Miami all brings something unique to the table, and we're some of our parts, and we are going to lean on each other and push each other. And yeah, there might not be the 10-year of experience, but what we lack in that, we're going to make up for in intuition and innovation and being great teammates and being forward thinking. And we're going to be relentless in pushing the envelope so that, you know, the environments that our players are in are conducive for them growing, because we need to grow. We need to get better. That's going to be the common theme, is that we're always finding ways to push the envelope. And while it might not be the most experienced staff in the league, the traits that I think make a well-rounded staff are very, very present here.
You know, the role as a bench coach is a very unique one, and Stephen and I were chatting about that earlier. In my time with the Marlins, over a decade now, I've had an opportunity to see a lot of different bench coaches. And the one thing that I've always found that's a little bit similar in some of the responsibilities as a bench coach, a lot of the times it's the manager that'll jump the you-know-what of a player, and it's incumbent upon the bench coach to kind of massage that player to make sure that they're okay. How do you balance that? That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways. I think if every issue lands on Clayton's desk, I'm probably not doing a very good job. You know, a big part of my job is making sure that small little fires don't become big fires. And so if Clayton's always playing bad cop and I'm always playing good cop, I don't think that's a very healthy thing. This is very much a team effort, and our job to ensure that our clubhouse is in a good working place is completely a group effort. And you know, some issues, some instances should fall on my desk, and some should, you know, be on Clayton's. But I think like the traditional role of good cop, bad cop probably is a little played out, and at least in my opinion. And our job is to work together to ensure that all of our players feel like they have the necessary support to go out there and do their jobs.
Other than Clayton, Carson, anyone else? I know Frankie Pilieri was in Seattle. Anyone else that you've crossed paths with that is with the current coaching staff?
Yeah, so Pedro Guerrero and I worked together in LA. So I know Pedro very well. Other than Pedro and Clayton and Gabe, obviously, I know people within the group. I can't say I've worked closely with them, but have kept in contact with many of them.
We have not talked to Pedro. Give us a little bit. What's this? He's like a nomad. We've never heard about the guy. What is he? Tell us a little bit about Pedro.
I don't know if he's real.
I mean, he's the ultimate teammate. You won't find a more genuine human being. In terms of like acumen, he knows the swing. He knows how to game plan. He's very thoughtful, Players love him. He connects extremely well. He's going to do a tremendous job of connecting with our players and making them feel supported. You're going to hear that a lot. This guy supports our players. They put them in positions to succeed, and they create an environment for them to grow. Like, you're going to hear those words said a lot, and Pedro hits that mark, man.
And I'll throw it to Kyle after this. I guess similar just to the players as well, Carson. I know majority of these guys are so young and they've got a ton of opportunity, but I know that the manager is constantly in contact with the players. Anyone, like, is that your responsibility too, to reach out to some of these guys? Who have you talked to? Kind of give us that rundown.
Yeah, I just started reaching out to some of the players actually a couple days ago. Got hired right after Thanksgiving. The holidays hit, the winter meetings hit, and I wanted to, make sure that I was in a good place, knowing our staff and the folks in the front office, and more just my teammates before I started talking to the players. But over the next 2 months, that will be the job, is to get to know our players so that I can adequately support them going into spring training, and hopefully take that next step with them, and hopefully continue to grow alongside them as the season goes on. But I can't help them unless I know them, and I can't help them unless they know that I'm coming from a genuine place of just wanting to help. Our job, I believe in this strongly. Our job is to maximize our players' industry value and to win as many games as possible. And in order to do that, I gotta know them on a very deep level, and I hope to earn that over time.
I know every situation is, it's going to be different to the individuals. And Steven referenced, and now as you dig into this thing, there is a chance that this, at least on the position player side, this is the youngest roster in baseball.
Yeah.
And with that is going to come hot stretches where these guys feel like nobody can get them out, and stretches where they feel like they don't belong in the major leagues. How do you go about that and tell these kids? And a lot of them are kids. I know they're young men, but you understand what I'm saying? How do you let them know that in this game, when you're 1 for your last 33 with 20 punch outs, that you're good and it's going to be okay?
Yeah. Well, it starts by talking about it a lot. And the second part of that is creating a process that focuses on things that we can control daily. If we dominate the things we can control, I know it sounds a little cliche, but if we dominate those areas, the results hopefully will take care of themselves. And rather than focusing on the uncontrollable results of the game, the luck and randomness, we're going to place a heavy emphasis on the things that is within our control. And if we do that on a consistent basis and stay consistent, through the ups and downs, I think the players will realize, and our staff will realize that, we do have confidence in what we're doing. We do believe in what we're doing. There will be bad nights. There will be great nights. But if we stay focused on the process of controlling the things that are in our grasp, I think we're gonna be in a really good spot.
Kyle, I'm baseballed out. I got beard questions and tattoo questions. So you got a couple more baseball ones?
I do. And I need you to be uncomfortable for a second, Carson, and talk about yourself. When I saw all these tweets that, Mariners lose field coordinator Carson Vitale accepts bench coach role in Miami, all the replies I saw was from fans. This is bad. Oh no, bad. We're losing a good person. He was important. Why did they think so highly of you, Carson? What about you, man? Like, why did these players and the coaching staff and the fans, for that matter, gravitate to Carson Vitale, and why were you so important to them?
I mean, I can't speak to all of it. All I can say is that hopefully people, once they get to know me a little bit, know that I generally just want to be there for them. And there's not a whole lot of self-interest in my heart. And I'm a lot philosophical. And those are the things I kind of gravitate towards in communicating. And I like to have fun. And I guess people kind of gravitate towards that at times, especially in a game that's filled with a lot of failure. So doing the right thing is at my core. It's my moral North Star. And I think when you think about kind of anything, doing the right thing is pretty black and white. And hopefully people over time get to know that is my intention, that there's always a right and wrong. And hopefully I choose the right a whole lot more often than the wrong. And I think people can see that.
I think what's been And what's really been cool, and Steven and I have chatted about this a lot, and we chatted with Clayton and now yourself and all these other people that have been hired, how humble so many of you guys are. And I think it's going to be awesome for fans of the Marlins to get to know this coaching staff and what you guys are all about. I'll go back to a question I asked you earlier. You know, this is a team that's going to be doubted because so many of these young men are unproven and they need to prove that they can win before people are going to buy into who they are.
Yeah.
Will you guys take an underdog mentality, or do you not like the nobody? But is that too much for 8 months out of the year to take that attitude to the ballpark every day?
Well, I think it depends on what you think culture is. And there's never an absence of culture. Culture isn't as a slogan or a rally cry. It's how you make people feel and how you feel in the environment you're at. And I think our players are going to tell us exactly what that's going to be. And hopefully we can guide them along the way and create an environment where, you know, we kind of push them in a positive direction. But whatever direction we take in terms of our motto or whatever, like, it doesn't really matter. It's about our work every day and how we treat each other. And if we do that right and we are actually committed to that, which we are, you're going to look up and see a very good product on the field in Miami. And hopefully that product will show up soon and be very long lasting. That's the goal. You know, it's to create a winner in South Florida and do it for a very long time. And so the long answer to, you know, the underdog or, you know, whatever the mentality is, you know, we'll find that along the way based on how our culture is shaped.
I only have one more. I had more, but I forgot them when you told us you were trying to run 10 miles a day all year long. It really threw me off about a half hour ago, Carson.
Couldn't believe he said it.
On football Sundays, I'm fortunate to take 10 steps, and I'm thinking this. What do you mean 10 miles a day? This is crazy. The only other thing I'll ask you is as you now look at this roster, and I love the game from this perspective and watching young men grow and do something really awesome together. And I know it's not going to happen instantaneously. And I'm not asking you to dive into every player here on the position player side on the 40-man roster. But have you started to look at some of these guys? And what do you think about these young, hungry fish here in Miami?
We have a lot of young, very interesting players who want to be good. I know that. We have a really interesting core group of core position players that are really exciting. They all bring unique things to the table. And our job is to make sure that those strengths stay strengths and hopefully help them around the periphery and help them with some of the things that, you know, are not presently there. And but yeah, our roster is unique and it's very exciting, and the product is going to be good. I'm very confident that, you know, you watch Miami Marlins baseball, you're going to know what we're about and what our brand of baseball is going to be.
Good, Kyle.
I keep going, but I got to save some. I need to have a reason to introduce myself to Carson in spring training.
I do have a baseball one, not anything specific to the Marlins, but is Joey Votto the best Canadian baseball player of all time?
I mean, it's definitely the right question. He's definitely in the conversation. He's definitely my favorite. So, I mean, if that answers your question.
Kind of.
Yeah.
There were some. I was looking up some of the names, baseball players from there. There's some names on there. I don't know if we should do a Mount Rushmore together, but there's some names up there.
There absolutely is. There's a lot of. Don't sleep on Canadian baseball players. I'll tell you that.
Your beard. How long did it take to grow it out, and how do you make it so luscious?
Yeah, this is actually. I just trimmed it right before my interview, so I thought I'd come in looking a little bit more professional than normal. During the season, it'll get a little longer. I started growing it with the Dodgers, and it kind of stuck ever since. It got really long during COVID, kind of really leaned into that era. Mm-hmm. And then I shaved it after the 2022 season. Completely. And we missed the playoffs by a game. I was like, this is done. Went with the mustache for 2023, made the playoffs, thought I had some luck in there, and then kind of a dry spell in 23, and I grew the beard back. So it's been back since, and it's probably here to stay for a while.
How many tattoos?
You're very superstitious.
Yeah, I guess I am.
Okay.
Tattoos?
Yeah, I got a few.
Can I see for the visual audience? Do we have on the arm?
This arm here. I got this.
Pull out those guns.
Got some on the back. Probably some more down the road, do something for my son.
That's
Kind of
awesome.
celebrate that moment. But yeah, like tattoo. I mean, I think the one thing, I really try to do for the people that I work with, both on the coaching staff and our players, is to model individualism. I really try to be myself. I'm not going to try to be anybody I'm not. And I really hope, our players feel that they can be themselves as well. I think, something we talked a lot about in Seattle, which I think was a really good thing, was the idea of being you, but being aligned with the group. You can be exactly who you are, but we're all moving in a forward direction. So, celebrate who you are, be who you are, and then we're also Marlins at the end of the day.
Have you ever had an endorsement or advertisement deal for the beer?
No, but I was lucky enough to spend some time around Justin Turner at the end of last summer.
Oh yeah, you were.
And he has a great beard, and he's got a deal with the Beard Club, so he hooked me up with some razors and some clippers. So not endorsed, but I got a gift from someone who is endorsed, which is high compliment.
Wow. Okay. My last one, outside of keeping wife Lucy happy and chasing around a 3-year-old son, what do you like to do, Carson? What are you passionate about outside of the game of baseball?
Yeah. So the Packers, you guys know that already.
Yeah, we get it. Get next.
Love to cook. In the off seasons, me and Lucy cook every night without fail. Love to golf. Love to snowboard. Love to be a dad. That takes up dad, cooking, Packers, baseball kind of takes up most of my time right now. And then off days in the summer is usually filled with golf.
So I just got married, so I'm getting in the kitchen as well with my wife. Still weird saying that, but it feels good. What is your role in the kitchen? Because sometimes I just feel like I'm like getting in the way, and every time I ask to help, it's very minimal things like pass me the salt. And I'm capable of bigger things, but what is your role when you're cooking?
No, I am the chef.
You are the chef.
Yes, I am the guy. Yes, absolutely.
Grill, or are you a stove guy?
Grill, Blackstone, stove, cooktop, all of it. Yeah, we mix it up. We keep it interesting, complex, simple, every nationality. And we try to.
If there was a contest, what dish would you make? What's your best dish that you make?
Well, I just got a Blackstone about 3 weeks ago. So working on perfecting my smash burgers right now. That's in a pretty good spot. But my steak and Japanese sweet potatoes it's really good.
How do you cook your steak?
Right now, over flame. I still like that the best. Blackstone's really good, but you can't really beat just salt and flame.
And medium well.
Medium rare.
Medium rare? Oh, I'm not there yet.
You like it still mooing.
No.
So when Valentine's Day rolls around and you say, honey, what do you want for dinner? And she gives you the look like, you know what I want. What is the meal that every time you just blow her socks off?
Well, she loves pasta. Pasta's not my favorite. So, I'd probably make her like shrimp scampi.
Oh, really? That's my problem. It's the pasta. I need to drop 20, but I'm making spaghetti and meatballs like 4 nights a week. I'm trying to go to the whole grain. I'm trying to remove the gluten. I figure that's a good start, but I just
mix in a little spaghetti squash. It'll be all right. You can't even taste the difference.
Yeah.
Spaghetti squash is real, man. It's
carbohydrates taste good though, Carson.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's delicious.
All right.
I'm a pasta guy, so.
I mean, everybody's a pasta guy.
Yeah.
What else, Kyle?
Well, I was just going to say, on my way out the door, I hope you go sneak in 18 across the street at Abacoa. That's all I can offer. Whenever you need a tea time in spring training, that's my go-to. Just let me know, man. I got you guys. They give us a foursome every day.
Really? Well, if you're being truthful, I will.
I am being very truthful. I'm over there on the range after spring training games every day.
I love it. Yeah, I'll meet you over there. For sure.
Carson, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate the time, man. We're so excited that you're in Miami. Marlins bench coach Carson Vitale. Cannot wait to meet you in spring training. We're so excited to cover you and work with you, and we've definitely got to do this at some point throughout the season again. Likewise, guys. Really nice to meet you, and really excited for the season. Happy holidays and have a fantastic new year as we head into 2025. All right, let's before we get to love it or leave it, let's get to FanFest. And folks, it's coming. It's December 18th, but again, this is the last Hot Stove Show of 2024. So you're not going to hear from us for a couple of weeks. FanFest, February 8th, 4 to 8. And Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, we're doing a live show. Is that the plan? Are we going to be out there and about?
Yeah. So you started in 23, but not till opening day. Used to be FanFest. We were always out on the West Plaza doing a show for 3 to 4 hours. And it'd be awesome. There's a speaker out there. Fans can kind of join us and do all that stuff. So I think at the moment, the intention would be to go back out to the West Plaza, and we'll do a live show and make sure all the fans can come join us out there.
All right, so you see it on the screen. Our audio audience obviously doesn't. Saturday, February 8th, 4 to 8, Lone Depot Park. It is absolutely free. Meet your favorite Marlins. Again, Kyle and I will be there. It's always a great time. FanFest, make sure to check it out. Okay, Kyle, that was, again, as expected, these guys are very just genuine salt of the earth type of people. Excited about Carson, and he is stepping into a big role because it is a little bit of everything. You are the middleman. I thought it was a good question by you when the player is constantly, going at it with the coach or the coach with the player. You're kind of the middleman, and you have to make it work on both sides. But all in all, just some of your takeaways from our interview with Carson Vitale.
Well, my first takeaway, I'm really excited about the foursome I'm building on the golf course this spring. That's top of mind right now. I think you said it perfectly. Salt of the earth. I think Peter Bendix and his team have assembled an incredible group of human beings that just want to teach. And they want to see if they can get these guys a little bit better every single day, and ultimately down the road, get them to obtain something that going into this season, and from the fans' perspective, they're going to say, those guys will never win. They're young. They can't do this. To me, that's the driving force, man.
Sure.
I think what an awesome young coaching staff, dude. Just so cool. Really can't wait to meet these guys and chat with them more. And that's what we use that spring training time for, to know these guys, man.
Yeah, and one of the things that I took away was his experience in the Dominican and how it shaped him. And, Kyle, it's so important to be versatile. It's so important to be able to speak the different language. I mean, I was screwing around with the Spanish, but he knows Spanish. He's been in Dominican Republic, experienced that culture, because a lot of times, Kyle, you got to have that trust, man. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything. And it might be a little bit easier with the American players, but now Carson Vitale, he's got some experience in these different countries he's managed. And I think it's a perfect segue into PJ Morlando, the Marlins number 16 overall pick last season. The Marlins decided that they were going to send a certain amount of players to the Dominican Republic and their academy that the Marlins have had. And it was an opportunity to have them grow together, to really expose themselves to Latin America. So I do want to play that video real quick. The Marlins social team put it together, but here's PJ Morlando, again, Marlins number 16 overall pick, after spending a good amount of time with some of his teammates at the Dominican Academy.
I think the biggest goal was just to come here and experience the culture. Try to speak as much Spanish as you can, try to pick up some words. You want to be the best teammate you can, especially coming to the Dominican. You're coming to the players from here's country. You know what I mean? You're not in your own country, you're not in your own element, so you got to adapt to their country. So that's speaking Spanish, eating their food, making sure that you get to really see the beauty of this country. And I feel like I've done a very good job of that. One thing I want to take back to the States is just the understanding of where my teammates come from, where they grew up living, their style of training, and just put that in my own. I'm so grateful for everything that I have, and so I think it was just a very eye-opening experience. The village experience was very humbling. It was really cool to see where some of my teammates come from. It was also really cool just to see the kids running around, smiling, so excited that we were there. It was really cool to see how grateful they are just for some food, some smiles, and some hugs that we brought. I'm going to take that back home and just hug my family a little bit tighter and just thank my dad a little bit more for all the sacrifices he made and the ability for me to live comfortably.
Kyle, there's so many times where I think being in America and growing up here like you and I did, we are showing, I'll take my wife as an example, who was born in Argentina. Like, you are showing them an entirely different culture and where you grew up and what matters to you and why you are the way you are. But very rarely in a sport that is here in America, you get the other way around. And I think it is so beneficial, and it was such an intelligent thing to do to have someone like PJ Morlando, who's 19 years old, and some of these other players go to Dominican to now get a little taste of their own medicine and understand, hey, okay, like, here's where these guys grew up. Here's, like, I need to learn this language. Like, it's not about them adapting. We need to adapt together.
Yes. And the other thing I will say, and the one thing I was thinking about listening and watching that video, and I've watched it multiple times since they posted it. Dude, how cool, like, the opportunity that some of these kids have in 5 to 7 years when the Marlins, and they hope to get back to the mountaintop or even get back to the postseason, whenever that is. It could be whenever. But what I'm referencing is these individuals that we just kind of saw in the video. How amazing years down the road if those same dudes that just spent a couple of weeks in the Dominican Republic together accomplished something together in the major leagues in Miami,
incredible.
man. Like, the thought of that is so cool. And I say down the road because a lot of those guys, obviously, especially in the DSL, they're 18 years old. They're 17 years old. It will be years before they get here. But those are moments there to me that they'll never forget. Like, PJ Morlando may very well end up playing with one of those 18-year-olds and
Arter Johnson, whoever.
Dude, how awesome is that? We met in the Dominican Republic, and we crossed paths a little bit here in Jupiter and Beloit and Jacksonville, but awesome. I think it's a great idea. Very important to do.
Kyle, it goes a long way. I really do believe it does. I mean, we talk about just what can the guy hit? How can he throw it? This stuff matters, man. The camaraderie, it matters. And I remember talking with Peter Bendix and you and I at the trade deadline in Tampa, and we had asked him, is the goal here, you want to bring these guys up at the same time? And he said, that's ideal. You want to be able to bring these guys up at the same time, AA to AAA, to the majors, camaraderie, chemistry. I know that's not really a thing people think in baseball. They think it's just really basketball is the first sport that comes to mind. It matters here, man. It matters what, that this guy hits fly balls kind of at this area of the field. So maybe I'll potentially be able to tag up from second. I just think those little things, and we talk about it, them trying to win within the margins, that's winning within the margins. And we might not see it come to fruition for a couple of years, but I love the idea of the higher ups saying, let's have these guys experience this together.
No doubt. I love it. I think it's an awesome, awesome opportunity. And it's one that some of them obviously will never forget. Have you been to the Dominican Republic?
I have. I've been to Punta Cana, though. I've been to the
Punta Cana, baby. He was in the all-inclusive, all-you-can-eat and drink.
And a funny story, before I went, there was a lot of stuff going on about the alcohol, and people were just, waking up the next morning and they weren't alive. And I remember like a week prior. Yeah, go look it up. 2018, summer of 2018 or 2019. People were going into their rooms, they were drinking the alcohol, and they were dead. And it was a bad gig. So my mother was very concerned about me going there at that time. Anyway, everything obviously ended up being okay.
A bad gig. That sounds like one way to put it.
But it was the best vacation ever. But like that, to me, that's not like the Dominican, that's like touristy. Like, no, like Santo Domingo is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the real Dominican Republic that we're talking about.
It's a dark turn around the holidays here, man.
Yeah. You did mention you love the video, the PJ Morlando video, which I loved it as well. And I think it's a perfect segue into Love It or Leave It. Not sure if the music started midway through or not, but you know what? It's okay. All right, Kyle. Love it or leave it here. Last edition of 2024. You know I'm big on these milestone things. Remember, like before the All-Star break, I was like last show before the All-Star break. I'm big on these things.
Last show before the All-Star break. Yes, I agree. Yes, you love Love It or Leave It. I know. Thank you for an amazing first half. We'll chat with you in 4 days.
Final show.
The final show of the first half. Yeah, dude, we get it. Chat with you on Thursday.
All right, Kyle. Love it or leave it. Let's start from the top. The baseball Freddie Freeman hit for the first ever walk-off grand slam in World Series history sold for $1.56 million on Saturday to become the third most expensive game-used ball of all time. Love it or leave it. A baseball being sold for $1.56 million.
It ain't my money. I love it. Maybe somebody bought it and they're donating the money to charity. I don't know. I'm largely indifferent. If you want to spend $1.5 million on a baseball, you obviously have plenty of it, so you're probably just spending it willy-nilly. I guess I would love it if I had that kind of money just to buy a ball for $1.5 million. The most expensive one was Ohtani's ball from Lone Depot Park, right?
I know. JC was trying to catch it. I know.
I'm sure he was.
I don't know, man.
Would have been on eBay before it hit his hands.
100%. The idea. So I'm always pro photos versus autographs. That's just me. Like the fact that and I know he
photos?
didn't. Huh?
You like photos?
I love the photos. I'd much rather take a photo with Ohtani than get a baseball signed by him. And that could sound preposterous because that could sell for $1 million. I just don't understand, man. $1.56 million for a baseball. So what? You can hang it up, and you can show Uncle Charlie when he comes into the Thanksgiving Day celebration to show. I mean, I just don't understand that part of it. That's what I get.
Dog, if you're spending that much money on a baseball, do you think you care or have it? Money's not a thing if you're spending that kind of money on a baseball.
What happened to the music?
You did not toggle on the fade in and fade out.
Is it toggled now?
Sure is.
All right, thanks, Kyle. You always save me.
And you didn't put it on loop track. You started unclicking things.
You know what? It was so smooth. I had to screw up somewhere. Okay, love it or leave it. We just had our holiday party. Now, it's different because me and you are brothers. But love it or leave it, having a drink with your boss at the holiday party.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I got lost when you said we're brothers.
So yes, you are my boss technically, but we're bigger than that. So I didn't even have a drink with you yesterday because you're under the weather. But what do you think? I mean, it's the holidays and you have holiday corporate parties, you know. What do you think if you're having a drink with your boss at the holiday party? What do you think?
Not for me. I'm going to leave it because you get a little liquid confidence. Yep. You have one and accidentally have two. Yep. All of a sudden, your tippy toes are touching the ceiling on your way out, and you humiliate yourself in front of your colleagues. To me, company party, no alcohol. Sip on a glass of water and a lemon. What for? You're just begging for trouble. Somebody's going to do something they shouldn't.
I'm going to leave it too. I agree.
But hey, everybody was responsible for what we saw. I saw a couple people on wheelchairs getting wheeled out. Had a couple too many, but
care to say who named? No, I'm kidding.
No, but it was a great time. I am very appreciative of our executive team, Mr. Sherman, Caroline O'Connor, our boss, our fearless leader, John Eric Alvarez. So many people go into that, and they care about a lot of us. So it's very cool to have that. And a lot of people, man, there's a lot of stuff. We said it the other day, if I may, for a moment. We had a annual town hall meeting, and every department kind of presents, but I really wanted to go up there with the intention of just thanking everybody, because without everybody, and quite literally every single department in our organization, without them, we don't survive. So I'll probably say that here as well.
Love the people. I will leave the idea, though, of having a drink with your boss. I totally agree. I think there's far too many bad things that could come from it versus good.
Yeah, just risky.
It's just the calculated risk is not worth it. So I would leave it as well.
One thing I'm thinking about, though. What I am okay with?
Go ahead.
How about wine? We can all share wine.
See, wine is strong to me. I could have a rum and Coke, and I'd be fine with both. But I think I would be more susceptible to being a little bit more loose with wine.
But it's classy. Sit down and have a nice meal.
Agreed on the classy. I thought we were looking out for the people, though. I thought we were looking out for mistakes.
Well, yeah, I think ultimately I'm looking out for them. We're all going to have a glass of wine with dinner. We're all going to take the edge off. Just a little glass of wine. A nice cab.
Are you a red or white guy?
Red. And this might surprise you because I am
You like Moscato?
an introverted human being. I like a very dry red wine.
Love it or leave it. New Year's resolutions.
I'm so far out. A resolution every
You
year. I
hate
tell
like
myself I'm
any
gonna
sort
lose.
of like
Listen.
goals. Go ahead.
Every year I tell myself, hey, why don't you do me a favor? Drop 15 or 20. Let's get the blood pressure back in a good spot. And I go to Publix. It's buy one, get one on the pasta. And I am all in. I'm knee deep. I've got both boxes cooking and boiling by the time I get home. So, no, it's just, no. I don't want to do New Year's resolutions. I'm going to work hard every day. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I gave it all. I gave it my all, Steven.
I love them.
No way. I'm stunned.
I think there's a lot of value in these. I won't get too deep into the weeds because I can. I'm a big perspective guy. I'm a big how can I achieve the two things that I want in my life, and it's on my board right now: joy and peace. How can we create it?
How's it going?
And it's going great. It's going great for me. Here's my thing, man. If you don't set goals and you don't hold yourself accountable, you're just going in a circle. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I love the idea of writing down goals
Mhm.
and the music stopped again and coming back to them and being like, did I do this? It's a great feeling at the end when it's like, yeah, I did do this. So let me share you two. I know you didn't ask, but the first one, I got to learn how to shuffle cards. I go on that team plane and I see Luzardo and I see Otto and I see Norbs and they're all shuffling cards and I'm like, holy buckets. If they asked me to play, I would say no. Because I'm respectful of their time and I'm the radio guy.
We go to the back to play. Yeah.
I got to learn how to shuffle cards.
Well, want me to give you a secret?
Go ahead, tell me.
When we're done with this, if you take 30 seconds and watch how people do it on YouTube and then grab a deck of cards, you could probably already achieve this goal here in about the next 8 minutes.
No, I don't think so. Because I want to be able to really shuffle them. Right here is my casino cards.
Very, very simple thing.
I want to be able to go with the bridge.
So if you bring those cards the next time I see you within 5 minutes, we'll accomplish that goal, Steven.
Okay. No resolutions for you. Come on, give me one. I'll give you my second one. Truly be bilingual, man. You've seen the growth. You've seen Tu hablas español. You've seen Tengo un pregunta. I have a question. You have seen Gracias por su tiempo to individuals that I interview.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for your time. I get it.
It's time to take that next step. It really is. So truly be bilingual. Shuffle cards.
You think you could do Marlins on deck in Spanish by the end of the year?
No.
Oh.
Not on a no. I couldn't host a show. But I do feel potentially comfortable doing some post-game interviews and stuff. That's the goal.
For the English audience, you think? Are we good?
Well, translate. Yeah, of course. Hey, we're here with, whoever is like Javier Sanoja is working on his English. If he doesn't feel comfortable speaking Spanish or speaking English, rather, I can translate.
Listen, and God bless you, brother. I think that'd be an amazing skill. The only resolution I think, actually, as I look at my sweet angel mittens here for 2025, I think we're trying to get to a good place. I think we're going to try to get back to the vet. 2 years ago, we got kicked out of the vet because she's too mean. We got kicked out. Couldn't even clip the nails.
Kicked out. Why? Because she was feisty.
Yeah, they just said there's really not much we can do. If you want to bring her back, we're going to have to sedate her next time to give her a physical. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that to my angel. So, yeah, I think we're gonna work on being nicer. Both of us, actually, in 2025.
Good. How is she doing? How old is she?
Well, I found her on my doorstep in October of 2018. So this summer, they thought she was born in the summer of 18. So this summer, she'll be turning 7 roughly.
Can I see the cat, please? Can you grab
Sure.
the cat or no? I just want to see. Sorry for the.
I'll hold up my computer. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry for the audio audience, but right now Kyle's put down his mic. He's putting up his laptop screen. Oh, nice. It's a nice kitty. Okay, so it's got nice skin. It's got white toes, or what are they called? Paws. Good. Good. She's sleeping right now. Okay, Kyle. Good.
Good show, Steven.
Healthy. Before we sign off, Kyle, I do, because you mentioned Mr. Sherman and Caroline O'Connor and the holiday party, and I really did want to take a moment just to thank them for their continued support and belief in us, because as we turn the page to 2025, it's not taken for granted how lucky I am and we are to be able to do this. It is always been my dream. I know it's been yours too, but to be able to do this for them and for this team. And I will tell you one thing, we don't take it for granted. And I can speak for myself. I will always run through a wall for the organization. And I love this very much so. So I just wanted to send a thank you, if they are listening,
They
to
listen.
them and their continued support in us.
I echo those sentiments. I have nothing else to say. I love these folks that we work for. They treat us amazingly well. And again, from facilities to grounds to security to IT to marketing and sales and service and partnerships, foundation, you name it. Without all those people in the organization, we do not do these shows and goof around and do stupid things, and people appreciate it. So thank you to everybody in the organization. I'll wrap this up. Only one quick note. We are off the next 2 weeks. We thought we were going to do some shows, but want to be respectful of people's time around the holidays. When we come back out of the holidays, it's going to be a full go here, Stephen, and we're going to get a lot more coaches on the new members of this coaching staff on. So
We still got a lot of ground to cover with these coaches. So yes, we're going to have some busy shows.
So many people after the holidays. We're not going to be tapped out on guests or anything. So to everybody that follows us, and by the way, to all of our fans, I know I thanked everybody internally, externally, all you people that are watching this, supporting us in Marlins Radio and everything that we do. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. That's Stephen. I'm Kyle, and we will chat with you in 2025.